Hey guys, and welcome to season 3 of the Us People podcast. I'm your host, Savia Rocks, and in this season, I get to make my guests laugh, cry, and even make them think about life a little differently with the questions I fire over to them, which digs into their lives and professions a little differently. We even had a chance to change up the intro, giving you a fresh, new sound. I look forward to sharing season 3 of the Us People podcast with you. Let's go.
Hi, I'm Simon Byng, alien cartoonist, and you are listening to Us People podcast with your out-of-this-world host, Savia Rocks.
Made up my mind, now's my time to shine. Now's my time to shine. Time that you let go, time that you let go, now's my time to shine.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Us People podcast. I'm your host, Savia Rocks, and today I'm humbled to have Simon here with me. Simon is a cartoonist, and I'm so happy to have Simon on because even before we actually connected, Simon was sending me pictures. I'm going to have to put them up on my Instagram and stuff with Simon's permission to show you how cool these pictures are. Simon, thank you so much for coming on the Us People podcast. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, in lockdown still, but thank you for the invite.
No, you're welcome. You're most welcome. So Simon, please tell me a little bit about yourself and where you grew up and your background, but how that also influenced you to be the person who you are today.
Sure, yeah, I'm originally from Portsmouth by the sea on the south coast. I was born in a naval hospital, St Mary's Hospital, because my father at the time was in the Navy, and then had just come out and then went into the police force. It was the 1960s, but it was what you call a working class town, I suppose. I grew up in Cosham, which is just off of the island, but on the hill there. And can't say I did that well at school at the time. I had all these ambitions of being a pilot at the time.
Oh, cool.
I'd joined the air training corps, hoping to get into aeroplanes, which she did to a certain degree, and thought I was going to join the RAF, but I didn't in the end. Funny enough, ended up coming out of school in the early 80s, and the third recession before the last one were coming in, I suppose. And from there, at the time, I don't suppose there was that many places in Portsmouth at the time that you were going to work. I mean, IBM was big. You went in the services. So I left school, tried the sixth form, but failed miserably to do a bit more to my qualifications, and ended up going to Highbury College in Cosham, where I thought, well, I've always liked technology, computers, this, that, and whatever, and managed to blag my way in and did a computer course.
Oh, wow.
So, but when you look at it now, doing computer studies in those days is absolutely nothing like computers are now. It's advanced so much in a short amount of time, and and after that, came out of college. Not many jobs around, unfortunately, at the time, and ended up just working in bars as a barman at the time. Yeah, so did a bit of that. Ended up getting myself a car. I was always a Volkswagen fan, so it was the old-fashioned VW Beetles. Ended up having a couple of them over the years. So, but it got me around, got me going. I've always been a person that likes to travel around. So from Portsmouth, I ended up temping in the end and getting jobs that way to earn some money.
Yeah.
I ended up got a job. I did get a job at IBM, funny enough, in the end, which but didn't have the qualifications to go any further there really, and ended up in a finance company down in the centre of Portsmouth called Schroders,
I've heard of
and
them.
as in unit trusts of all things. So, don't get me wrong, I'm not brilliant at maths. I never was. So I was surprised he even took me on. But I did that for a couple of years, and speaking to people like I think a few of your podcasters have actually said you moved to London, don't you, to earn some money?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was very much like that with the being on the phones a lot of the time. I ended up speaking to a lot of the stockbrokers and these sort of companies in London, and they said, "Oh well, you can come up here, you can do this, you can earn this, you can earn that." So you can imagine in the mid '80s when it all started to move off again, and that was the time to actually do it. Unfortunately, I had a lot of a couple of friends that had been at university, and they were moving down into London to start their careers. So a few decisions were made. Difficult to tear yourself away from your hometown initially, I suppose, but ended up moving up into London with a couple of friends and renting a house in Wembley, of all places.
Oh, not too
Near
far.
the stadium.
Yeah.
Yes, near the stadium, not too far away. And because we were all music fans at the time, couldn't be a better place to be, really.
Yep.
So now in those days, you could go into Wembley Arena 5 minutes after the concert had started and pay a fiver, and they'd let you in.
Oh, wow.
So we did a lot of that as well. But so that was about 1986. That was really so. But the only problem with that was we had a couple of rather big parties at the time, and a few undesirables I think must have turned up. And I remember a time when we got burgled 5 times in about 3 weeks.
Oh,
So
wow.
all we had at the time was the clothes we stood in, really. So we decided to move away from there. And just before the crash of 1987,
Yes.
whatever it was, we bought a house. Right, we all clubbed together, bought a house down in Penge, down in southeast London,
Yeah.
thinking it was one of those places that was up and coming. It never up and came.
Aw.
But never mind. One of those things. We got on the ladder. That's all that mattered at the time. So this proves to you, it is difficult for youngsters to get houses or whatever these days. But if you're happy to club together, then you can do it, which we did at the time. I don't know if it's that easy now, but we did do. So we had that for a number of years, and just lived the life, I suppose, as youngsters in London, and enjoying ourselves really.
Yeah.
And
Eventually,
I met my. Sorry.
No. Carry on. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So eventually, as lads do, you meet your girlfriends, your future wives, and we left. I moved away from London up to Norfolk. Mark at the time moved into with Sue into. She had a place in the Ealing at the time, so he moved away. Jeff moved back to Portsmouth, funny enough, and that was the end of Penge, and we moved to different parts of the country. So I've moved from Portsmouth to London to Norwich, which I've been here nearly for 30 years actually.
Wow.
I don't think I'm going to move anywhere else. It's a beautiful county. We've got everything here, so this is where I'll be.
Oh, that's fair enough. That's definitely. So
That's my history.
No, that's good. That's a good history, Simon. That's a brilliant history. So you have done, and you've been through quite a bit. You've been through the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. Music was a part of your life because you loved music.
90s.
But also, when you were
Yes.
when you were growing up, was your parents a big influence in your life, and did they also kind of help you to make your career decisions for you wanting to be creative or wanting for you to do different things?
Well, yeah, I mean, my father was in the police force, and he's always been that sort of, that way, I suppose, military man,
Yeah,
those sort of things.
yeah,
But in that part of the world, it was very much a case of go to school, you get the qualifications, and you go and get a job. That's the way places like Portsmouth were. Uh, but I sort of, well, like a lot of people, I suppose, I had ideas of what I wanted to do. Yes, I wanted to fly, be a pilot. I wanted to do. There's perhaps, even to that, dreams of being an astronaut. Where you can see probably where I was going after that as well. But that's pie in the sky, of course, those sort of things.
hey,
But yeah, it was very difficult because of the recessions and the lack weren't so many jobs really. I mean, parents give you as much support as they possibly could, but it was very much a case of once you've got them, go out and get a job. Really, is
yeah,
what it was, because that was the way of the world in
yeah.
the early '80s. Especially when you're in a recession, as you can imagine. People need the money, don't they?
That's true.
It's,
And they kind of do anything for it as well, which is kind of a
yeah.
shame because sometimes people go into a job and then work in that job. And I've said this so many times, and even on other podcasts, where people feel like the job that they're in is actually quite soul destroying.
Yeah.
And that can do a lot to somebody's mental health.
Yes.
So most definitely, no, that's most definitely it can be. But tell me a little bit about how you actually got into being a cartoonist.
The cartoonist thing it comes from many moons ago when I was. Well, I enjoyed things like, which you probably won't remember, TV programs like, well, Doctor Who obviously is still around now, so that's not really one is. But there was programs like Lost in Space in those days. Thunderbirds was a big influence as well. Um, there was there were so many. So there's a lot of Supermarinator, like Captain Scarlet, and they were interesting. Joe 90, all these older sort of science fiction things, and they sort of things. I thought, wow, this is amazing. Look, there's not another world out there. There's other worlds out there, and
Exactly.
there's a massive universe. There's a lot there to see. But I've always been a doodler, as I think most cartoonists will say over the years. They're always writing, always drawing on something, always doing this, doing that. At school, I did a bit of art. I didn't do art as an O level or a CSE, as it was in them days as well.
Yeah.
But uh, I got the odds drawing put up on the board as being something a bit different, because they were different. They would still have that science fiction sort of thing to them, which is my passion.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd. I suppose, yeah, you'd call me a science fiction nerd, of course you would, because of what I do. And so, you get into the sort of early '70s, and again there was these sort of programs that came out like UFO,
Yeah.
which you can see again now. They are all sort of repeated on the on the television, on all these things. And Space 1999 came out. I thought, wow, blimey, look at these machines. They're fantastic, and the special effects, even in certain programs, even in the early '70s, were getting on. After 2001: A Space Odyssey came out,
Yes.
then that was a move on from the old 1950s, 1960s movies, which, don't get me wrong, are brilliant. Even now, you have to laugh at it, but it was the start. It was the start of all these sort of things, wasn't it? And the special effects was then moving on. You think, oh, blimey, that's almost real. It really
Yeah.
does look real. Where's the joins? I can't see the strings anymore. I can't see the joins. This looks really good. And then you moved on into the mid '70s, and then Star Wars came out. When you thought, blimey, this is almost real, especially when the Star Destroyer comes across the screen for about 2 or 3 minutes. you think, well,
Yeah.
blimey, we are moving into a different world. But but again, if I had a piece of sketchbook, I was thinking, drawing away here, there, and everywhere, and then it got on to then Alien came out.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite old enough to watch it at the time, but I managed to get in to see it, of course, as you did in them days. No one wanted to see ID in those days, really. You just sort of turned up, with a bit of, I don't know, 5 o'clock shadow, and they believed that you were old enough. So you got in to see them. And, well, that changed everything, that did, because that was unbelievable, really, at the time. And it's still unbelievable now when you look at it, how it was made.
That's true.
And yeah, fantastic. And then it moves on again, doesn't it? But it wasn't really, I suppose, until I would say about 1989 that I'd been given and I was still working. Well, it was 89. I suppose it was about it was about that time. One of the ladies at work came back with the Evening Standard, as it was at the time in London. And there was Gary Larson's The Far Side in there. He had his panel was in there, which I've never seen before. American cartoonist, and there was a panel in there, and there was you can see this. There was that cartoon.
Oh yes, that looks cool.
Yeah.
Hey.
An alien playing cards with a human being.
An alien playing cards, with a human being. That's smoking as well, guys. He's smoking.
And they're smoking and drinking here. There's some American bar somewhere, I suppose. And
cool.
you see the eye coming up behind the guy there.
Yes, on the back.
As the captain says, "Damn your alien luck." Well, he's cheating, isn't he? But he's got the eye going under the table, doing this and whatever. And I was on the tube going home, and I saw that, and I just laughed out loud. And I thought that's funny. And I thought, well, that's one cartoon, but you could make a whole series. You could do a whole feature on that cartoon, and that's where Future Mock came from, which wasn't Future Mock to start with. It was it started off as the Infinite Universe, and then became Out There, and eventually morphed into Future Mock, my cartoon feature. So,
see.
But that's where it all came from. So
wow. So what was it like getting paid for your first cartoon? So the first time you've ever drawn, the first time you've
ever had.
Wow.
I've never been paid.
No, so you just do it naturally for the love of it. See, this is what I love, when it's spontaneous and you just tell me that you don't get paid for it. You just naturally do it for the natural love of it.
I do it for the love of it, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I've done a number of cartoons for free magazines in Norwich. There's a couple of the local ones. Friends have said, "Oh, look, we need a cartoon for this," and I said, "Well, there you go." So, our readers will love that. Yeah, so it's a bit out there. So that's what it ended up being called, Out There, in the end. So these things go on for a couple of years and they die a death, don't they? And you go on to something else. A guy in Canada came on off of I think it was Twitter, actually, a few years back, and said, "Oh yeah, I really like these and whatever. I'm doing this in Canada and Mississauga, which I've never heard of, to be honest with you, near Toronto." I said, "I'm doing this cartoon thing or whatever. I want to put these in. Send me a load of them. We're trying to get this up and running." Again, another thing that went on for a little while and then died a death, as it seems to with cartoons.
Aww.
I've done cartoons for friends and work colleagues for birthdays and Christmas and things like that. But no, there's no income from it. I do it for the love of it, and I do love it. To me, it's also a relaxing thing. There's all these mad thoughts go around in this head here of what's happening out there in the universe, and what life can be. It's possibly like, possibly not. Out in the universe, on other planets, other worlds, other multiverses, here, there, and everywhere. And that's what the humour's all about. It's it may happen here on this planet, but what is it like on another planet?
Yeah, true.
These guys may have the same mundane lives as we do. We don't know. They may not look like us. They may have 5 arms, 13 eyes, 25 legs.
Yeah, it's
Who
true.
knows? But their lives may be the same. They may have to bring up the kids. They may have to do the school run. That may be from planet to planet. Who knows? But this is what this cartoon feature is all about. It's life elsewhere in the cosmos.
So do you believe that there are aliens out there? Because you obviously draw them and put them together and make them all have different characters, like you did with my one. You gave me a whole planet.
A whole planet, just
and
your planet.
it was such a beautiful, humble, and creative planet that you gave me. But when you're actually sitting down, I would love to get in. I'm going to get in your brain now, Simon, because this is something. This is something that
Scary. Scary.
No, it's all right. I like scary. It's okay. So I'm going to jump in your brain right now. So when you're getting creative, what is your mind thinking of? How are you feeling? What are your emotions creatively telling you to create?
It's generally a subject comes in, something happens somewhere, and you think, well, okay. Well, the latest one I've done, I suppose, for example, is you wake up one morning and you find that the sun's gone to a red giant. So it's going to engulf the Earth completely within no time.
Yeah.
Well, what would I think? Would we panic? Would do this, that, and whatever? I think, well, these couple of aliens have come out onto their balcony. They're drinking his orange juice in his hand, whatever fruit there is on their planet, and turns around to his wife or his girlfriend and says, "You better get the sunblock out. I think it's going to be a hot day." Because is it the end of the planet? Is it just going to be hot?
Well, for them, it just might be hot.
Those sort of slightly hot. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's that's how it works. It's something comes in and where's the pencil, and then it goes in the sketchbook, and then you try and develop it, and the mind. Yeah, the things just come from nowhere sometimes. Again, hark back to Gary Larson, reading his. I'll show you that. His prehistory of the Far Side, which is his sort of autobiography thing he did.
Yeah.
And you read through that, and he said a lot of people ask me. He said, "Do I have a where do the ideas come from? Why do I do that?" He said, "Well, I haven't got a book of 5,000 cartoon ideas.
Exactly.
It doesn't exist." He said, "They just come to me, and I sit there, and then the brain starts to work on and moves off in tangents here, there, and everywhere, and then suddenly, yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's actually quite funny. Yep, and that ends up being the cartoon. Hopefully, the trouble is with humour, everyone finds different things funny, don't they?
Yeah. That's what I was also going to ask you. How do you know when something is funny? Because obviously, like you just said, you might find something funny, but then somebody else might. Obviously, we all have different personalities and different sense of humors. But how do you know when something is funny to be able to draw it, make it come to life, give it a character and a personality, so that other people can find humor?
Yeah, I have to make that judgment, I suppose, with a cartoon. I'm quite critical about them. There's tons of them been dumped, of course, because they're not what I call the lightest bit funny. But they may come back in the future and rework. You don't know. I mean, my humour, I would say, is it surreal? Yeah, I suppose it is quite surreal. But I've always liked humour. Your Monty Pythons.
Yes.
I love anything that they've ever done. All of the Pythons really always made me laugh. Anything that Ben Elton's done is always been controversial in some ways, I suppose, but funny. The likes of Richard Curtis, the sort of things like the Vicar of Dibley, I still find funny. The Young Ones was one of my favourites because that was just really unusual.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was a breath of fresh air. I must admit. I even love the BBC Sounds is great for me because they're putting on the likes of the Goons, and because I've always liked Spike Milligan because the man he was a mad as a box of frogs, I suppose, really, but he was very clever, very clever. And even now, listening to them, you think, well, I can see where that humour came from for that person or that comedian or that group or whatever, because he was very clever. I mean, the likes of Tony Hancock makes me laugh still. That was the 50s and 60s, but it was even clever humour. And then you move on through the years again. As you know, I'm lucky really, and that's what I keep saying to my daughter. I said, look, you've got 40, 50 years worth of music and comedy and whatever. You've got all this to listen to. It doesn't matter whether it's old or not. Does it make you laugh?
Exactly.
Do you like the music? It's there. You've got a massive archive to go back on, and it's the same with me. That's why I do listen to these things. I mean, John Shuttleworth makes me laugh. It's very, I don't know, basic stuff, but but he's a human being, and he comes over as very funny. But I can move on, through the decades again. Really, I mean, even more modern humour. The League of Gentlemen, I thought was excellent because with sci-fi comes a bit of horror.
Oh.
So you have the sort of transition as well, with that. Like that Inside Number 9, I think is excellent. That really good. That is macabre, but it is good as well. A lot of the modern comedians are funny as well. Sounds patronising. That's a bad thing to say, but I shouldn't really say that as well. Nicky Flanagan or whatever. I mean, he's funny, and I mean they're all. To be fair, Xavier, they're all funny.
Yeah,
and it just depends if it's what makes you laugh.
that's true.
Really, at the end of the day.
No, that's definitely true.
So,
If you saw an alien, right?
Mm.
Have you seen an alien? Wait. Have you ever seen an alien?
No.
Okay, right. So we cleared that one up first. We cleared that one up first. So if you saw an alien for the first time, Simon, what do you think you would do or say?
That, I suppose, depends on what they look like, doesn't it? Because the first thing any human does when they see something is go, whoa! But with all the masks there are these days and whatever, would you know you're seeing an alien?
Exactly.
A real one?
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't know. I mean, I've seen things on Facebook and Instagram where people have had these fantastic rubber masks where you wouldn't know whether that was a human or an alien.
It's true.
So a real alien, and if he actually said, well, would I say to him, take your mask off? Probably, because you'd just think it was somebody playing a joke on you, wouldn't you?
Most of the time.
If it was a real alien, I'd probably just freeze.
Actually, that's a good point.
I certainly wouldn't be take me to or anything like that, of course. It's a bit too cliche, didn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of. That's why I thought I would ask you. I thought if Simon drew an alien or saw an alien and then it came to life, what would he do? And then I thought, more than likely a human would freeze and then think about it later on. Like, why did I freeze? Or because they go by your reaction and they also go by your emotions. I think that's just my opinion. I think maybe they go by your reaction and they go by your emotion because maybe they feed off your energy. Maybe, I don't know, depending on the alien. I have, no idea.
Yeah, exactly.
If you was to, you see how you drew a character for me and you gave me a planet. Yeah. If you were drawing a spontaneous character who an alien.
Yeah.
What soundtrack would you put on your characters? If there's one particular character you liked that you have made, what soundtrack would you put to complement your work?
Well, generally, my soundtrack for the whole thing is in the year 2525. Because if you remember that song, it goes through all the way to 95.
Yeah.
There's no aliens involved in it, but it's mainly how they thought at the time possibly humans would be.
Yes.
Would we survive it? Is God coming back to say, right, I've had enough, we're starting again?
Yep.
Well, maybe he is now with COVID. You don't know, but
That's true.
probably. But that has been my soundtrack. I've always said the future mock. If you ever want to compare it to anything, is the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy with the Far Side, with the soundtrack of In the Year 2525.
That's a good one, actually.
That's what it would be. My favourite artist, I suppose you could call him, composer, is Vangelis,
Oh.
the Greek composer, because his music is so diverse. I'm a bit of a nut for synthesizers. I've always loved electronic music of any kind, no matter what it is. I've always wanted a mini Moog, but never bought one. I've got a keyboard. Unfortunately, it's stuck in the loft, and I've played it a few times. But again, one of my things, the bucket list. The bucket list is being ticked off slowly but surely, and to be able to actually play his music is what I want to do before I move on to the next planet.
I think
so. I will do it one day. If the keyboard's still working, of course. It's been in the loft for about 3 years now. It's going to have to come back down
No, it
and
will still work.
thaw out a bit.
I've got mine I don't know if you can see. I've got mine behind me. It's just right here.
Is that a Korg?
This is a Roland one. My Roland.
Oh, you got a Roland.
Yeah.
Well, the Roland Juno 6 was one that I almost bought once. But,
see, so it's
I
pretty
wish
cool.
I had, but I didn't get around to it. But I love all the sounds that synthesizers make. The one that you probably have come across this in the past, and I think it's been in just about every 1950s and 60s movie, is the theremin.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean it's the and what a fantastic machine that is, But yeah, they've moved on to keyboards and the old synths with the knobs and everything obviously went out of tune most of the time, and I think everyone got fed up with them. But then it became the digital.
I thought they were
synths.
kind of cool because they just, even though they went out of tune, it was still a sound that you could use and manipulate in some kind of way.
Yeah. They're fantastic because they just make such a noise, don't they?
Yeah.
They are fantastic. I've always been a Gary Newman fan. And when it came to, I'm just reading his biography again at the moment. Going into the studio, there was a mini Moog in the corner. We took it out and we played it. Wow, look at it! Yeah, what a sound! Up until then, the piano wasn't working, but as soon as he got one of them out, then it changed his life altogether by the look of it.
See?
But they're superb. Those just and they are out of this world noises, really, aren't they? That they make.
See?
Yeah.
If there was a song that was a soundtrack of your life, Simon, what song would you choose?
My soundtrack of my life.
This would be interesting.
An instrumental or is it a vocal, or doesn't it matter?
It's totally up to you. So if you say to me, Savia, it's a vocal by such and such, or it's an instrumental by, it's your soundtrack of your life.
Okay. Well, it is an instrumental, and it is a Vangelis track, and it's from the Ridley Scott film 1492, and it's the last track, which is Into Eternity. It's about 10 minutes long, But it's just a beautiful track, and I play it all the time.
Oh wow! I'm gonna have to have a listen to it now. I'm definitely gonna have
The
to have a
whole album
listen.
is very good. I mean, it's a mixture of sort of what you call world music, electronics, and vocals, and but the whole album is superb.
Oh wow! Okay, I'm definitely gonna download that one.
You can expect that.
No, I didn't
But
actually.
no,
I don't know what I was expecting, to be quite honest. But when you said that to me, I was like, it was a nice change, difference. No, definitely.
mm.
How do you feel that you
Oh,
take?
I love Lotus music really, but there's certain things when you're relaxing or drawing, there's certain music that sort of works,
Yes,
and that
very
work,
true.
all that sort of a chilled electronic music. I mean, God knows how much money I've spent on chilled music over the years, from the Ibiza stuff to the early '90s and all that sort of music. I just love it, love it. I love
See,
all the club music from the '90s as well. I think it's super. They started mixing it with sort of classical music and sequences and heavy, just sort of drums and everything. It just, it's just brilliant.
see, I love that. What is the best advice, Simon, you have ever received from somebody, and how has that helped you in your life?
Best advice is never give up,
I like that.
because and I suppose that the best words are never say never,
That's true.
because you just don't know. And in this world with the internet and everything, you never know where your material's going to end up, who's going to see it. Um, that little computer there is a window to the world.
I'm telling you. Yeah, I'm
You know,
telling you. That's so
and
true.
I've always said that with a lot of my customers and whatever. They've had a very small shop somewhere, but they put this um, website on that's been professionally done for them, and it looks like they're a massive business,
Yeah.
but they're not. They're just a corner shop, but their website looks like they're the most expensive, company, Italian sort of tile, you know, supplier in the world. So, you know,
It's all about
it can
marketing,
be
I think,
expensive.
at the end of the day. I think marketing plays a
Yeah,
huge part in
absolutely,
your business. So, no, most definitely. What are you most
absolutely.
proud of that you stand for as an individual?
Um, as a person,
Yeah.
uh, um, I don't get too upset about things. I'm
You don't
chilled, really.
you don't seem like you do, to be quite honest, Simon. You seem
Yeah,
like you're pretty chilled out and you just kind of take it on the chin
yeah,
and you just roll with the punches, kind of.
yeah, yeah. I suppose if you look at it, I'm a very. What was that, that word that always makes me laugh? I'm just a pawn in the chess game of life.
Aha, I
I'm
like that. That's a
a
very good
very
one.
small. I'm a very small person with a very small voice in a very big world.
I like
I have
that.
my family. We look after each other. We do our thing
Yeah.
together. Um, I can't say I'm going to set the world alight by any means.
Well, you never know those. You
We
never
all
know,
do. We all think
Simon.
we're immortal when we're younger, don't we? And we can do this and we can do that. And well, we're going to change the world. We're going to do this. Well, I suppose I've tried like everyone else, but it's not really worked. So I'm content with what I've got um, now. We have a comfort. We're safe, Savio. That's the way we look at things. We don't go mad.
Yeah.
We live within our means, and
Yeah.
that's how we are.
I like. I understand that. What would you do differently, Simon, if nobody was judging you? Because in a world that we live in today, we're always constantly getting judged. It doesn't matter what
Yeah.
for, but people look at you, and sometimes they just prejudge you before you've even spoken. What would you do
Mm.
differently if there was no judgment in the world?
In my life or in
Yeah, yeah,
my
just in general.
everyday?
It could be in your life. It could be in general.
Yeah. Well, I think. I mean, you can't have any regrets because you can't really change them, can you? Um, Always looking back on things and thinking, what would I do I'd have a time machine. That's what I would do.
Oh.
I'd create a time machine and possibly go back and make a few different decisions.
Hold on. So if you went back in a time machine, where exactly would you go back to?
I have my time machine.
Mm-hmm.
In my life, probably. Now, this is always a good one. This is always a good one for a cartoon, actually, as well. Is the fact that could I go back with the brain I've got now?
Oh, that's a good one.
If I got the brain I've got now, I'd probably go back to my infancy and observe the world from there.
That's kind of
And
cool. But then, do you
mm,
think that you would be too advanced?
possibly be too advanced. And then people get suspicious, wouldn't they? That's the only other thing. You'd really have to be yeah, I'll just play the game or go along. Um, But yeah, in life, yeah, I've made a number of mistakes. Yeah, of course, yeah. If I had my time machine, I could possibly go back and change them. Changing them, would that then come across the good old time machine paradox, where if you change them,
It,
you
it
might
will
affect
alter the
somebody else?
future. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There is the old, Back to the Future problem there, isn't there? I suppose.
Yeah. I
But,
believe it's
I
the
think I would
butterfly
go. Yeah, I
effect.
think I'll just go back and just observe and change a few little things that wouldn't affect people. I think that's probably what it would be.
But even if you do something small, Simon, it can alter so
Mm,
much. Do you find
it
that
can.
even yeah. So what would you okay, we're in a time machine and I say to you, you're allowed to go in a time machine and you're allowed to choose 1 year to go back to.
Yeah.
What year would you choose?
What year would I choose? Well, I wouldn't choose 86 because that's when I left and went to London, and that was okay. That was okay. I'd probably choose 87, where we ended up buying a house in London right at the top, and we never made any money on it. So that's
Oh.
probably what now you buy a house in London, and you always expect actually to make enough cash to actually buy your next one and have a thing. And maybe that's what I would possibly do.
Okay.
But then again, there was too many things that happened there that were good fun. So that's a difficult one, really, because it's a difficult one, really. So it's yes, oh yeah, the difficult ones now. Cool.
I see.
Yeah. What year? Well, yeah, don't know. I don't
That's
know.
going that's gonna make you think now. I think when we
Yeah,
come off, and you're
it
gonna
is
be
gonna
like,
make
I'm
me.
gonna get a message from you later on, going, and then it's just gonna say a year. It's just gonna say a
Yeah,
year.
it was this year. Yeah,
It was
yeah,
this year, Savia, with a
yeah.
cartoon next to it. It was
Well, I
this
suppose
month.
I don't have too many regrets in life, so it
That's a
would be
good thing.
difficult.
That's a good thing that
Yeah,
you don't have to. You that means you've lived your life to the fullest that you can
yeah.
possibly live it. And there are millions of people who would love to be able to do that. And if
Mm.
you've done that, Simon, then you've gone clear. I think, anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could, yeah. I mean, in life, I've always been a case of treat people as you would want to be treated.
Exactly. No, most definitely. When was the last time you remember feeling totally at peace with yourself?
Well, my place is in Mallorca on the balcony
Oh.
of my in-laws' little flat that they have there. That is my sanctuary. So we only go out there. Well, we can't have been able
Oh.
to do it for the last couple of years because everything that's been going on. But that is the place where I sit with my sketchbook about 6 o'clock till about 8 o'clock when the sun comes around. So it's lovely and warm, not too bright, but nice and warm. There's a rum and coke at the side there. There's a sketchbook
Oh,
too
okay.
there. The sun is nice and warm. It's all very quiet, and the brain starts to work. And then I just feel in heaven. That's my little bit of paradise. Nothing fantastic.
That's
It's
enough.
not elaborate or anything, but that's my little
It,
piece of paradise.
no, it doesn't have to be. I find simplicity to be one of the best things about life. The simple things that you have gratitude for. I always say the small things make the big things happen. And I think that's so true. I think that's so. What is your philosophy on life? Do you have a philosophy on life?
It's only really let and let live. Everyone does their thing. You can't really tell people what to do. You can advise people, give them your benefit of your experience,
Yeah,
but that's about all you can do because people have their own ideas. They do what they want to do.
that's true.
If you try and tell them what to do, they almost feel as if you're, you
Pushing
know,
them.
pushing them. Yeah, yeah, and it doesn't work. As a salesman, I've always been the same. I can't pressure sell. It doesn't work. It never works. If you got something that people want,
Yes,
it's the right price, does what they want, they buy it from you.
that's true.
You can't go in there and say, "Oh, I've got this. Oh, yeah, you need to buy this. Yeah, if you're buying that, you're an idiot." This and whatever. It doesn't work. You have to just let them say, "Here you go," and you sell yourself more than you do anything. If they like, people buy from people. You know that, so
Yeah, that's true.
people like people. They deal with you and they come back time after time.
That's true,
That's how it is.
actually. That is really true. What is one thing that you feel people always misunderstand about you?
Oh, misunderstand. Um, misunderstand. I suppose at first it's like most things; they just come in. If you talk about work, if you're talking about work, then it's the case of I'm going to force them to take something off of me, uh, which I'm not, as I've said.
Yeah.
Um, I suppose in as in day-to-day life, I don't really know in day to day. No one's really actually said that. I suppose it's a case of being 6'1" and I turn up, I'm looming. Perhaps I'm a bit too you know I don't know, aggressive in the way I appear. I don't know. Mind you, they'd be more upset with my brother. He's 6'10", and he
What?
was a policeman.
Are
He
you
was a policeman.
serious?
You can imagine that, can't you?
How does
Yeah,
he
six
fit?
foot.
How does
In
he
fact, I
fit
think he's
through a
dwarf.
front door?
I'm only 6'1", and he sort of dwarfs me. And yeah, oh, I think he's bigger than 6'10" by the look of him. But he says he's that big. So
How does he fit through the front door?
it's just got a big door.
Wow, it must be a massive door.
Well, when he speaks to you, or he speaks to just about everyone, he's crouching down most of the time because I think he struggles to hear what they're saying. But yeah, he's a big lad.
Oh wow. Oh, that's kind of cool. I've only got.
He should play basketball. We went to
Yeah, he
America a
should
few years
have.
back, and everywhere he went, they was saying, "Can we have your autograph?" I think they thought he was a basketball player.
I'm not
But
surprised.
yeah.
I'm definitely not surprised. What would you like your legacy to be, Simon, when you are finished and done with everything and you say to yourself, that's it, I'm done. I'm going to either retire or relax, spend the rest of my life doing what makes me either happy or what makes me feel at ease. How would you like people to remember you?
Really, that I was a nice human being, not an alien, a nice human being, and I
Okay.
did make them chuckle a bit.
Yeah, I like that one. It's nice and easy. And my final question for you, Simon, is where can people find you? Like, I have been honored to find you and have you on the Ask People podcast. Where can people find you if they would like to get in contact with you?
Well, I've tried most of it, to be fair. You found me on LinkedIn, didn't you?
That's the one.
And I do. Yeah, I've tried a few. The big thing, uh, Instagram is the one that I tend to go on because I've got friends on there, and people.
Yeah.
So I think get more reaction from Instagram than anywhere really. Facebook's not too bad. I've joined loads of groups as well. There's plenty of sci-fi groups and
Yeah.
things like that. That one works as well. Um, Uh, no, they're really the best, I suppose, out of them that I've got anywhere. As much as I like to think I'm good at tech and all that sort of thing, I'm not so sure I am really. There's
Oh,
so many people out there that do it. I mean, there's so many. The thing is, Xavier, there's so many fantastic artists out there.
true.
There really are,
Yeah.
and mine's just a comical looking, cartoon that hopefully makes people chuckle.
Yeah, but that's
Um,
your personality. It's your personality and your feelings in that. So to me, you are an exceptional artist because you have created something that maybe somebody else couldn't create the way you would.
yeah, and I'm very surprised. There's only another lad in America, Roger, doing his Grey Zone, and myself that really seem to be doing anything in science fiction. But
Yeah.
years ago, I always thought that science fiction was a nerdy thing, you know, and it was very small. But you look at the movies that there are out there now, the TV series on the science fiction. I mean my favourite um, film is Blade Runner.
Ah, yes.
And again, another Vangelis soundtrack, but exceptional. And But the mood it puts over, and that's the thing with science fiction. It it moves. It. I think these science fiction writers and movie they've shaped the future, haven't they?
Yeah.
All this has come out. Star Trek years ago. I mean, they had technically what the iPad is now, didn't they? And communicate. Everyone wanted an Oyster sort of phone years ago, didn't they? Which looked like a communicator from Star Trek and those sort of things. And yeah, it's that's how it's sort of it's moved on, I think, over the years. It has, yeah, science fiction shaped the future, and yeah, I'm just surprised there's not more of it out there, really, when it comes to cartooning and what we do. Yeah, there's the old joke about aliens and and things like that. Of course, there is out there, but nothing, that's permanent on a daily basis or anything like that. Which was always my ambition, was to be the next Gary Larson sort of thing, but doing it in the future.
Yeah.
It's not
No, that
happened yet.
definitely makes. Well, you never know. You never know what might happen. Like you say never. So you never know what's around
No,
the corner or what could happen. Or, like you say, who might see your work and
yeah.
potentially think, oh my gosh, this is great,
I
and
mean, the
take
main
it
thing
from
I
there.
do every week, I do a new cartoon on my website, which is just futuremockcartoons.com,
Yeah.
is where it is every week. There's a new one. There's a new one every week. There may be two or three. I update the aliens. I create all these creatures, whether they're. Then I always thought, oh, well, maybe a card company might like them, or the kids' magazines or something might like them, because they're colourful and they're not nasty things. Because it's like if you watch a lot of films in the past, it's all a case of, well, these aliens are here. They're here to probe us in our sort of gentler bits and mutilate our cows and abduct us and things like that. But it's not. It wouldn't. It'd never be like that, would it? It is very
Yeah.
much a case of, well, they've not contacted us for a reason. Perhaps they are out there. I mean, if there's, what was it, 40 quintillion planets like Earth out in the universe,
Yeah. For
there's
real.
got to be something out there, isn't there?
Yeah.
There has to be something. Perhaps they don't want to talk to us. Perhaps they don't think we're grown up enough. That's
Maybe.
been the subject of many of my cartoons. Oh, don't go there. You'll have a problem there if you go there, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I
you know,
definitely think so. I just hope that people can learn to evolve and accept difference, because people are always scared of what is different, and they have fear towards that
yeah,
sometimes. So maybe if we learn to show more love towards things that are different, then we will be more accepted by things off another planet and people from another planet, because you never know. We might not be the only
yeah,
humans. So,
yeah,
yeah.
sure,
Most definitely. Simon, I want to thank you so much for
no
coming on
problem.
the Yes People podcast. You've been such a great guest, and thank you for your calmness and also for your sense of humour.
No problem. Can I just say to you
Of course you
before I
can.
go, Javier, I did join the Cartoonist Club of Great Britain, and
Ah,
it is worth, if anyone's likes cartoons, to have a look on there, because there are many There's about 200 odd different cartoonists where you can see all sorts of things as well. Unfortunately, there's not been any sort of Comic Cons or anything like that recently anyone's been able to go to. But it's definitely worth having a look on their website as well if you like cartoons, because the UK it's difficult to get yourself recognised in the UK. It seems like America and all around they seem to be the places if you're going to try and push yourself where you might get some success. But it is a difficult industry, I have to admit, the cartoon industry. Yeah.
You hear that, guys? Go and check that out. I'll definitely get everything off Simon so I can pull it below and he's right up on the podcast so you guys can click it, have a look. And also, if you have any questions for Simon, please feel free to send them through to Simon. I'm sure he'll be very happy to try and help you to conquer, I would say, your passion of being a cartoonist. Again, Simon, thank you so much for coming on the Ask People podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been absolutely fun.
Guys, thank you so much for listening to the Ask People podcast, and please remember you can subscribe to Spotify, iTunes, Google Play and any other platform that you prefer listening to. Please also follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, and you can also donate to the Ask People podcast by simply going to the Savvy Rocks website or just typing in paypal.me/Ask People podcast. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Stay happy, stay positive, and as always, please continue to be kind to one another.
Time to let it go. Now's my time. Now's my time. Time to let it go. Now's my time. Now's my time. Time to let it go. Now is the time for me to focus. Stop all that playing hocus pocus. Stop doing it yourself. You need a little help. This time I want to see you shining. I think you need a little.
You were great. It was very good. You make us feel calm, and the questions are all relevant. That you can come up with a spontaneous answer most of the time. There is times when you think, oh my God, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that question, but no, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've never done a podcast before.
Time to shine. Now's my time to shine. Time that you let go. Time that you let go. Now is my time to shine. Now is my time to shine. Now is my time to shine. Time that you let go. Time that you let go. Now is my time to shine. Time to let it go. Now's my time. Now's my time. Time to let it go. Now's my time. Now's my time. Time to let it go. Now's my time. Now's my time. Time to let it go. You are your own worst enemy. Thinking too far, what's ahead of me? One day at a time. Just enjoy the ride. Open those eyes, see the light. Ignite that fire inside it. Let it breathe breath into life. Push all your fears to the side. Control your mind, it's all alright. Enjoy your life, the joy is mine. Commit to you, you got the tools. Everything you do, you make the rules.